Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'm going to be talking about some huge changes that have been announced by the Canadian government. These changes, which have been recently implemented, and some changes which are being currently discussed by the government, will have huge implications for anyone who is thinking about moving to Canada. Last year, I posted this video here on my YouTube channel, and this video is still, to date, the most popular video. Because this video was so popular, I've decided to post another video and give you guys a quick update about some changes, like I said, that have been recently announced by the Canadian government. So these changes have been announced at the end of August 2024. And what we're going to see in the fall is some other changes taking shape that will definitely play a huge role in the number of international students that will be coming to Canada and people who are looking for work when they move to this country. Now, before we get started here, please don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button, and please make sure you turn on notifications so that you can be notified about my new videos. In this video, I'm going to be talking about a group of people that move to Canada or come to Canada, temporary foreign workers, or TFWs. TFWs, temporary foreign workers, are people who come to Canada and they work lower wage jobs, and then at the end of their work permit, they're supposed to go home to their home country, but some of these people are deciding to stay in Canada, and the Canadian government is making some changes and thinking about the TFW program and talking about what might be the best option moving forward so that the Canadians who live in Canada can benefit and find jobs, and then people who want to move to Canada or work here can also benefit from the system. Now, before we get into discussing the changes, let's talk a little bit about the Temporary Foreign Workers Program. So this program has streams. The first stream is the Seasonal Agricultural Workers Program. The second stream is the Temporary Foreign Workers Low-Waged Stream. The third stream is the Caregivers Program. Now, what I want to do is I'm going to show you guys some data from the Canadian government website, and this shows where these people are coming from. So here's the data here. This is from 2023, and this is the countries of citizenship for temporary foreign workers in the agricultural sector. So what are the recent changes? Well, like I said, so on August 26, 2024, Prime Minister Justin Trudeau announced that there would be some changes to the TFW program. And basically what the Canadian government is trying to do is reassess and see if some of the changes that they made after COVID still make sense moving forward. These changes aim to tackle issues like the rising housing costs that we're experiencing here in Canada, as well as unemployment. The first thing we should talk about is what led up to these changes. So as you guys know, we've all come out of a pandemic, and basically what happened was after COVID, there was a labor shortage. So lots of companies, lots of businesses had trouble finding workers, and what the Canadian government did was they relaxed some of the policies and allowed more temporary foreign workers to come to Canada. This was beneficial because companies could hire cheaper labor and they could get jobs done that desperately needed to be done. But what we're seeing now, a few years after COVID, is that the number of temporary foreign workers is actually causing problems. So the first thing the Canadian government is going to do at the end of 2024 is lower the percentage of temporary foreign workers that a workplace can hire. So this new change will mean that a company can only hire up to 10% of their workforce through the Temporary Foreign Workers Program. So what does that mean exactly? That means that a company, let's say Tim Hortons, which is a coffee chain here in Canada, if Tim Hortons is looking to hire 100 new staff members in the upcoming year, only 10 of those employees can come from the TFW program. The other 90 employees either have to be Canadian citizens or permanent residents or other people, just people who are not coming from the Temporary Foreign Workers Program. In addition to limiting the number of employees from the TFW program, the Canadian government is also shortening these contracts from 2 years to 1 year. So So that means that a temporary foreign worker wouldn't be able to work in Canada on a 2-year contract. They would only be allowed to work for 1 year. So these two changes are going to be implemented because the Canadian government is trying to find a way to hire people who are from Canada and to urge businesses to actually hire Canadians, and they don't rely on cheaper labor. Now let's discuss another important change that the Canadian government is making. So on August 28, 2024, the Canadian government announced that effective immediately, the Canadian government would no longer be issuing work permits to people who have come to Canada on visitor visas. Now, this change is going to have huge implications for people that come to Canada. This is going to change their approach, and this is going to have long-term effects on the process of immigration for many, many people. So let's break this down. Let me explain to you what this actually means. So what has been happening is some people have been coming to Canada on a visitor visa, and then after they've been in the country for some time, they decide to change their visa to a work visa, start working here, and maybe apply for PR and officially become Canadian citizens. The Canadian government is making it no longer possible for these people to be in the country on a visitor visa and then decide to apply for a work visa. So now that I've talked about these two major changes that have been announced by the Canadian government that will affect not only temporary foreign workers, but also those people who come to Canada on visitor visas, let's talk about the implications of these changes and why these changes have been put into place by the Canadian government. In my previous video, I talked about some of the challenges that people faced in finding housing. And even speaking from my own experience, I can say that it was difficult for me to find housing here in Canada. Basically, what's happening here is the housing market is extremely competitive and people are really struggling to find affordable housing. So the Canadian government is hoping by reducing the number of temporary foreign workers, the housing market will be better for Canadians. So more and more Canadians hopefully will be able to find affordable housing. So let me break this down. If a 1-bedroom apartment here in Vancouver costs $2,500 a month, hopefully after these changes are made, this apartment will cost, let's say, $2,200 a month. Now, another reason why the Canadian government is implementing these changes is that in addition to trying to fix this broken housing market that we have here in Canada, the Canadian government is hoping to fix a major issue, which is rising unemployment levels. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put some data on the screen here, or some statistics that show the unemployment rate for newcomers to Canada. What we're seeing is more and more newcomers are having trouble finding work here in Canada. The unemployment rate is actually going up. In addition to these newcomers having a hard time finding work, we're also seeing many young people, so many young Canadians are struggling to find jobs. So the Canadian government is hoping that by limiting the number of temporary foreign workers, the housing market will improve and the unemployment rate will go down. So my viewers, I'm really curious to know what you guys think about these changes. If any of my viewers are people who are thinking about coming to Canada, or they already have a plan in place to immigrate to Canada, if you feel comfortable doing so, write a comment below and let me know how these changes have either positively or negatively impacted you. One thing I want to say before I wrap up is something important to keep in mind is that in addition to all of these changes that I've discussed in this video, the Canadian government is also looking for ways to avoid a major issue that is being caused by the Temporary Foreign Workers Program, which is the mistreatment of some of these temporary foreign workers. I'm going to put a few pictures here on the screen. If you're curious to know more about some of the hardships that these temporary foreign workers face when they come to Canada, I encourage you to check out these sources. And they go into detail about some of the harsh conditions that these people face when they come to Canada and work. And you can also do a little bit of reading and look into which companies have actually broken the law and done things that have really hurt these temporary foreign workers. And you'll see that the Canadian government is actually giving penalties to companies that are breaking these laws. So my heart goes out to those people that are mistreated and who are facing prejudice and racism. So on that note, I just want to encourage all of my viewers to keep their comments respectful and keep in mind that this is a complex issue with a lot of intricacies. And what we're going to see in the upcoming year is the Canadian government making some changes that will have a lasting impact on our country. So if you enjoyed watching this video, please don't forget to hit the like button. And in the upcoming months, I'll post a few more videos about some more changes that will be impacting immigrants to Canada. With all of that being said, I hope you guys all have a wonderful day, and I'll see you guys in the next video.